Hey guys, what's up? I'm just sharing a single invasion today. This is an invasion that was equal parts frustrating and joyous, and I thought it had a lot of great elements to it, a lot of things that I kind of learned and some takeaways and things I thought about that I hadn't really thought about before. So you can see I'm in Dragonkin Mausoleum. This is a great place to invade for a number of reasons, and I'll get into some of those reasons here just in a moment. But I can see that the host hasn't been through here. He's probably out near the bonfire. A lot of hosts like to camp out here and try to ambush you. But I figure he gives me a wave. He doesn't have any phantoms. And I see here he puts his weapon away, and I'm kind of not sure what he's doing. And then I realize he's trolling me here a little bit. He could have easily summoned that phantom, before I came into his world. In all probability, it was there already. I think he's just trying to mess with me a little bit. So at this point, kind of the gloves come off, and I'm just going to start raging on him. But I know I'm on a clock here before his summon shows up, and as if on cue, there's the sun grow. So I know I'm going to get a couple hits in here and roll out, but I make a mistake and I miss the door, and this invasion is almost over before it can begin. If those guys had been paying attention, they would not have backed off like that. They would have just stayed there and prevented me from leaving. I got really, really lucky. But one of the reasons this is such a great place to invade is you've got that serpent over there that will continually summon in those Drakeblood Knights. And so you can kind of try to keep a host and their phantoms pinned down here and not give them access to the serpent. But I see here he's summoning in a second phantom, and so it's going to be a pretty tall order on my part to be able to keep all three of them away from the serpent to keep the Drakeblood Knights resummoned. If you have just one or two, it's pretty easy, but with three, I think it's pretty challenging. So here I can see this is going to be a tough fight. So I equipped the Avalon, which is great for harassing parties from far away. And I know that in all probability, I will not be able to take these guys on right here. I can kind of harass them until they are able to take out the enemies here. But once the enemies are gone, I can't have all three of these guys on me at once. I think all three of them have ultra weapons. When you get three people swinging ultra weapons all at slightly different times, it's almost impossible to effectively roll all those attacks. You will get hit by one and stunned, and then all three of them will swing at you and you're hit stun, and you're probably dead. So I'm thinking in the back of my mind here, make them use as much Estus as I can, hopefully kill one if I can, but if not, at least do as much damage as possible. When you're fighting against this many people, and you start thinking about a war of attrition, rather than just a huge fight where you win or lose very quickly. Every little bit counts, and that actually brings me to one of my points. I used to see guys like Nif or Saint Riot. I would always see them doing things like chucking fire bombs at hosts and phantoms, and at first I thought it was just kind of to be annoying, and I think that's part of it. I think kind of harassing them is part of it, and you can see here the host now is shooting a great bow at me, which is actually kind of related to what I'm trying to do. But by throwing fire bombs, if you hit somebody with it, it does 115, 120 points of damage, which isn't a ton, but it's almost like a straight sword R1, a little bit less. So you hit somebody with a couple of those and they may be tempted to Estus. And in a situation like this where it's a war of attrition, every time I can make one of these guys use an Estus, it's a huge victory for me. I know in all probability these guys have probably 6 or fewer Estus on them, and so the faster I can get them to use all that, the better off I'm going to be. I don't see any evidence that anyone here is using Faith, so it's unlikely anybody's going to be able to heal anybody else. So I'm just going to kind of give up ground slowly, but I'm not going to try to fight all these guys at once. And I've talked about this in previous videos. In kind of my earlier version of myself, I would have just gone all try hard at all three of these guys at once. And on occasion, I would have been successful. I would have done something amazing, and I would have beaten them all, and it would have been like a great YouTube montage. But more often than not, I would just get greased and end up frustrated. And really watching guys like Saint Riot taught me an awful lot about the other side of invading, which isn't just the fighting aspects of it, but all the strategy and the mind games and the things like how you're using your fire bombs and where you're positioning yourself with respect to the enemies in the level. I think his Learn to Invade series was really helpful, not just because of the tips that he shared, but it was just a general mindset, like a way of thinking about invasions that I had really never stopped to think about. And I tend to be a pretty analytical guy, but for whatever reason, invasions were one of those things where I just maybe hadn't put my brain to work on it. And now I find myself thinking about a lot of things and noticing things that I previously wouldn't have noticed. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on my Estus here, and I see I'm already halfway down. I have no idea really at this point how much Estus these guys have, and they're being pretty careful. They're moving as a team. And anytime I get hit by one of these ultra great swords, I'm probably going to get hit by at least two, and that's an Estus, so I have to be super careful here. And of course the host is down there with his bow firing shots at me, which is pretty smart. It minimizes the risk that anything's going to happen to him. I could run past them and go straight for the host, but they'll converge on me, and then I won't have the benefit of PvE on my side. I saw Pincognito actually made a really good point about ultra great swords in one of his videos the other day, which is when you're in a duel one-on-one, ultra greats are not a problem at all if you're like a straight sword user. But in an invasion, there's a certain kind of time pressure that won't let you stay back and be as reactive as you might normally prefer to be against an ultra great sword user. And so I end up eating just a ton of stupid damage here. And I've noticed from watching my videos, I definitely get hit by ultra greats way more in invasions than I do in duels, even if there's no other phantoms around at that moment in time. It's just again that time pressure where, you know, if you've got a phantom by himself, just like right here, I know I only have a few moments. I had to be way more aggressive against him than I might normally be. But obviously he was out of Estus, and this guy looks like he may be as well. So I'm trying to avoid the bow, which I know he's shooting at me this whole time, trying to avoid his ultra great. And there I stood there for that second hit, and I knew he would blow his stamina with it. And now I'm just going to chase him down. So at this point, I'm pissed. I'm on the hunt. I feel like this host was trolling me a little bit at the beginning, and sort of my courtesy wave may have been taken as a sign of weakness by the host, and he took that opportunity to summon somebody. I'm thinking at this point maybe he's hiding, but I suspect he's back at the bonfire. And I should have been a bit more cautious. I should have been expecting that. This time he's got me pinned, but I don't panic. I know as long as I can keep him from summoning anybody, this guy is mine. The fact that he hid behind his phantoms and shot at me is a pretty good sign that he's not at all comfortable playing PvP. So I'm really anxious to kill this guy because I'm really worried about him resummoning, but I'm also trying not to be too eager and take stupid shots. Again, because he's using an ultra great, it should be pretty easy to roll on reaction, but if I do something stupid, I could easily end up eating 2 R1s. And then I'll have to back off to heal. He'll heal back up, and then the risk of all the phantoms getting resummoned grows. But I'm really enjoying giving this host a thrashing here. I mean, I'm on him like stink on shit. Every time he heals in my face, I just punish it, and I take it right back. And I'm roll catching him left and right. There is really nothing more enjoyable than this. I kind of treat this as like the reward for beating off the 2 phantoms earlier. And if this were just a lone host normally, I would not be going at him anywhere near this hard. I would feel badly, and I would give them a little bit of a break so that they could treat it as somewhat of a learning opportunity, but not in this case. And of course, he gets the point down. I don't bust that out very often anymore, but I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Thanks for checking in. Bye now.